Today we're launching a celebration marking the milestone of our faculty reaching its 100th birthday. It's appropriate, in fact, it's instructive to set aside time to acknowledge the vision and the work of people who have made such a difference to our faculty and to our university. But more than that, to the people of Alberta, to the people of Canada, and to people around the world. So there's no doubt today, through a whole array of activities that we'll have within this program, through the website that you should have a look at, ALES 100, through the timeline that you'll see out in the lobby, indeed, through the Century of Solutions book, you will learn about the things that we have accomplished in the first 100 years. But I think I would like to take a few moments as the moderately new dean of the faculty to look in the other direction. So we celebrate our past. We're going to do that in a spectacular way for the next year. But to think about what the future is going to hold. I want to take you into that future, tell you a little bit about where I think we as a faculty need to be positioned so that we can be just as successful in our second century as we have been in our first 100 years. Now let's be clear. I'm not going to tell you when the next time is that the Oilers win the Stanley Cup. I think I heard somewhere down here, never, which is a very pessimistic approach to all of that. I'm not going to tell you whether the snow will even be flying for Halloween or, given the climate volatility that we experience, whether the Christmas will be green. That is not my intention. But I do want to share with you a few of the elements that I see that are going to shape the way that we as a faculty are going to need to be responding over the next 100 years. Now, whenever I think about the idea of prophesying, of predicting the future, some of you will know about the Greek legend of Cassandra, who had indeed the power to tell the future, but the most frustrating curse that she received was that no one believed her accurate predictions of the future. So I certainly encourage skepticism. I would love to hear what you think of my view of the world when we have a chat at reception. But I'm just going to paint you a little bit of a picture. What's going to drive us in the next 100 years? Well, the first one, and I struggled with a name for this, for a title, but I think I'm landing around citizen-driven motivation. So let me tell you a little bit about what I think that means. We're going to continue to see companies, governments, institutions that are going to be more and more responsive to the needs, to the demands of their citizens. So how does that manifest itself? Mondelez, the large food company that is the global arm of what we might know as Kraft Foods, made an announcement this last week that they are going to set aside $600 million to have a sustainable sourcing of just two particular commodities, cocoa and coffee, for use in their products. I know a number of you are involved in the cattle industry. You know that right now the Canadian cattle industry is working with McDonald's to think about, not only to think, but to develop a line of sustainable beef that McDonald's can use in its restaurants across Canada. So it's not because there's a checklist, it's not because there's a government regulation. They're doing this because they are trying to be responsive to citizens. And the fact is that citizens, even armed with cell phones, can document practices in specific operations in our industries which none of us are proud of. But what we see is that it triggers a very rapid engagement of our responsible industry associations to acknowledge and address these kinds of issues. So I don't want to understate, regulation will always play a key role in what happens in the future, but I think we are going to be dictated by these very rapid, very quick ways in which citizens are going to make demands of us, which the regulatory structure can never keep track of, or at least can never keep up with. So these are interesting days, but we will see that the industries that we touch as a faculty, the things that happen within society, are going to be more and more focused on these citizen-driven activities. That's one. We also see that there's a continuing evolution of our industries. Last year, Alberta had somewhere in the range of $27 billion in sales just for agriculture, food and forestry products in Alberta. Add to that the billions of dollars that are being invested in the investments around environmental processes, environmental activities across the province of Alberta. This is a significant number that's involved, but we see all kinds of changes going on. Look at the headlines, multinationals consolidating, these very creative startup companies that are using a piece of technology or a piece of insight to drive their companies. These are the things that companies of all sizes are using to focus what it is that they do to address those global demands for safe, quality products. And let's face it, we also see that some of the jurisdictions that are involved in this evolution also have issues. Some governments have been shaken by food security issues, while others, and I've certainly heard Minister Olson talk about this in the past, are in positions of strength because of our land base, our infrastructure, our people. But we also have to remember that we are in biology-based industries. We need to be ready for that next mountain pine beetle, for that next BSE, for that next clubroot issue that we may need to address. So we've talked about citizen-driven ideas around the changing of companies. The third one I would just label as resilience. We have always looked at this possibility of reaching for genetic potential in some cases of agriculture or forestry. But I think there's a continuing look at not only maximizing our production, but also making sure that we have a way of ensuring the performance of our various activities within either industry or society that will encourage or ensure performance under a wide range of conditions. And of course, we can think about this in the context of productivity in forests and agriculture, maybe because of climate change or other environmental activities. But I would even think about resilience in a broader way. Resilience of individuals, of families, of communities, even some of those larger social structures. This is something that's going to be a theme of the next several decades as we go forward. So we've got three, and the last one that I would point out is the struggle to access talented people. There is no doubt that whatever industry, whatever activity that we are going to have in the future, it's going to be dictated by the availability of remarkable people. And what are those people going to do? They're going to create new knowledge. They might lead and grow new businesses. They might be superb public servants that think about policy or think about public good investments that come from taxpayers. And in fact, might even be those primary producers. You will know the last census told us that the average age of a farmer in Canada is 54 years old. We are thinking about that next group of people across all of the elements that we touch and how we are going to be prepared for that second century. So I've told you those shaping ideas around citizens driving things, of resilience, of looking at how we're going to access the right people, of the changing industries. How is our faculty going to respond? I would just say three areas. We're certainly laying the foundations already within our faculty, and we're moving forward with a very intentional, thoughtful communication program to talk about these three areas. And the first is that we're preparing that next generation of leaders. You heard some of the stats already. This fall, we have over 1,600 undergraduates in our programs, over 500 graduate students. Those undergraduates come from 25 countries, the graduate students from 62 countries. Now, make no mistake, the vast majority of students within our faculty are from Alberta, but we also have this great diversity of student body that enriches everyone as they go through their training. So what can we do with those capable people? Well, of course, we give them a deep technical knowledge in an area or a discipline that they're working on. But I would also provide that list of thinking critically, of good decision making, of working in teams, of being able to communicate what it is that they're thinking about. That's what's going to make this group of people so important to the next generation. And I think what we are also doing differently in our faculty is that we're giving this broad array of experiential learning. So it can be a whole array of activity, practicums, internships, study abroad. And it's always dangerous to pick out one thing, but I would just talk for a moment about Project Serve, where first-year undergraduate students in a one-day event in September come together with the opportunity to volunteer with a community organization in Edmonton. By participating, the student has the opportunity to connect as a volunteer with something that they're learning in their program, in their field of study. And the aim of this overall activity is to make value not only for the student, but for that community program. And what we see is that it goes beyond that day for additional connections. So preparing those leaders of the future. The second part is that I would say that we are building the right partnerships. We know that there are a whole array of wicked problems that are out there. We know that even the faculty is not exclusively capable of addressing all of these things. I would just point out one statistic in that our faculty has the highest per faculty external funding number across all of the science-based faculties at the University of Alberta, and we take that as a vote of confidence in the things that we do. But I would also say that we're very grateful for those partners for what they do for us and how it is that they do invest in the work that we continue. And we're certainly thinking about how we will continue to work with governments, with NGOs, with companies, and probably we will have partnerships that we can't even conceive of in 2014 that wait ahead of us somewhere in the future. And the third element, and the last one that I will point out, is the fact that we are engaged in the issues that are actually shaping, and in some cases I would say bedeviling, our society. So if I think about the students that are in this room that are studying within our faculty, if I think about the researchers in our faculty, and even if I think about me in my new role as dean, where would you rather be? Think of those headlines that are out there right now. Healthier, safer food, we are there. By the way, we faced a little bit of criticism because we've been advertising we're serving cake at the reception. There will also, and there has always been planned, healthy alternatives as well, so enjoy whatever it is that you so choose at the reception. But we are there around that safe, healthy, nutritious food. Challenges of the forest industry, we are there. Land reclamation, we are there. Water quality, we are there. Even new approaches to ecosystem services, we are there. And I would even think around the productivity of our fields, of our forests, of our corrals, whether it's new varieties or new genomics in our livestock industries, you know the drill. We are there. So, before I end, I just want to close with one particular thought. In a moment, I'm going to introduce the Right Honorable Kim Campbell. We were having breakfast last week in preparation for this afternoon and to talk things over. And I have to say, I was very impressed by the amount of background research that she had done to get a better sense of what our faculty is all about. And after talking through some of the things that she had discovered and identified, this was her direct quote: "ALES is where it's at." I could not agree more, and I'd like to thank each one of you for your support for our faculty up until now and for your continued support in the future. Thank you very much.